My name is Steve Deace. I'm the chairman of the board of Personhood IOWA. That sounds really important, but it's not. That's the title they give the guy with the biggest mouth in the room so that other people actually get to make decisions. I don't even get to make motions at our board meetings, guys, okay? But what I do get to do is I get to speak when we have events. And tonight, what we wanted to address with you is how to win. This is my favorite subject, winning. I like winning. Now, some people have claimed over the years, I don't care about winning at all. I just don't consider selling my soul to advance people and ideas that I don't share as winning. I don't consider it a win to help get people elected who will cut and run rather than have your back. I don't consider that to be winning. I don't consider helping get people elected who have phony baloney anti-bullying language, but then lie to you for years about defunding Planned Parenthood. That's not winning to me. Maybe that's winning to some of you. That is not winning to me. Let me tell you what I think winning looks like. When this ends, once and for all. Once and for all. And at Personhood IOWA, we do not believe this is going to end 1 second earlier or 1 second later until the Church of Jesus Christ in this country has decided once and for all they have had it with the killing of its own children. It will not end until then. The partisan political process has been a failure. And I say this as someone who makes his living in the partisan political process. It has a place, no question. We live in a representative republic. But this is a transcendent moral issue. And the culture that we live in today, the partisan political process, is simply not equipped to deal with what we're talking about here. This is something that's going to require a higher calling than Republicans and Democrats, conservatives versus liberals. This is going to require an institution with a divine calling and commandment to say, that is wrong, stop it. Stop doing that. Regardless of who is in office, it is wrong to murder innocents. Stop doing it. And that's going to have to come from us. Because you just heard from Rebecca what the other side's mission is. You know, the other side would take a look at a 14-year-old girl whose mother is single after 2 divorces in the 1970s. And she just found out over Christmas break that she is pregnant with her high school senior sweetheart's baby. Her mom is already on welfare as a single mom. She lives on the old South Side bottoms, which don't even exist anymore. Some of you have lived in Des Moines. You're old enough to remember where that was at. Those don't even exist anymore. That's an old slum for so-called white trash. That's where they used to live. That's all been renovated now for Principal Park. But that's where she lived. And Planned Parenthood and the child killing industry, and by the way, let me just say, stop calling it abortion. You're not getting your tonsils out. You're killing a live being. If we want people to believe that what is happening here is they're killing children, then we should say they are killing children. Abortion sounds like some form of an outpatient surgery, and, you know, I'm just getting something taken care of, something cleaned up. No, you're killing a life. And Planned Parenthood and the child killing industry would look at this young girl I'm telling you about and tell her, you know, you're not ready to be a mom. You're not fit to be a mom. You have no idea what it takes to be a mom. You're going to miss out on the best years of your life. You don't have to do this. You should have a choice. You should kill your own child. Now, luckily, this 14-year-old girl chose not to do that. But instead, when she was 15, on July 28, 1973, she went into labor at Iowa Lutheran Hospital here in Des Moines and gave birth to a son. And she named him Stephen James. That is me. And Planned Parenthood may look at a young girl, 15 years old in rural Michigan, who has been raped, and she is pregnant, and may say, see, if abortion were safe, legal, and rare, this young girl would not have to go through the trauma of reliving this rape over again. And her parents 3 times took her to a back alley abortionist to have the product of her rape killed. The first time, this back alley abortionist was too drunk to perform the procedure. The second time, the girl refused to cooperate. The third time, the back alley abortionist refused to do it because the baby was too far along. So this girl's parents sent her away, which is what you did in those days. They sent her away to have her baby. She eventually gave the baby up to Bethany Christian Services in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And a young couple, a young doctor, World War II veteran, he and his wife, until this point, unable to have children the old-fashioned way, decide to adopt this baby girl. Now, of course, what happens after they adopt? What do you think happens? They have 5 other kids the old-fashioned way. Works out that way a lot, I've noticed. They name this little girl Mary. Mary grows up. She meets a man named Robert Ramsey, who's a master sergeant in the 101st Airborne. They get married. They have one child. Her name is Amy. That is my wife. That is our family. Come to my home. Look my wife and my children in the eye. Tell them about your exceptions. My son Noah nearly killed his mom, and we hold that against him every time he acts up. He put her in a coma. I was teaching a class at church on a Sunday night when I got a call from our oldest daughter. Mom is basically passed out. She's not responding. You need to come home. Had to have an emergency C-section. This is my son Noah. Our youngest daughter Zoe, who I refuse to call middle child because I do not want to bestow that stigma upon her. So my youngest princess Zoe, I remember when they told us, you should consider abortion. She's a 2-vessel cord child. She is not getting the nutrition that she needs. We can't find her heartbeat half the time. We said no. All of these exceptions that the politicians like to cavalierly toss around, like they're not people, like they're not souls, but they are political footballs to be bargained with. All of these exceptions have names in my family. All people created in the image of God. But we have a problem. Most of America doesn't see it this way. Now, it is because of the righteousness of our cause that as a movement, as a pro-life movement, we've had a lot of victories, because it sure hasn't been because of tactical brilliance. We've had a lot of victories because of the righteousness of our cause. Yet for 42 years, the ultimate victory has eluded us. Why? Well, I don't know much, but argumentation is what I do for a living. And I can promise you, you cannot win an argument when you allow the premise of your opponent. And you cannot win an argument unless you're having the argument you'd actually want to win. We have had arguments about, well, maybe if it's at this stage of development, it is still okay to kill a child. Well, maybe at this point it's okay. Well, maybe if the child is conceived this way, then it's okay. These are all quality of life arguments. They are not sanctity of life arguments. This is actually the philosophy Rebecca just told you about of the opposition. What we are arguing is our own version of utilitarianism. Except our utilitarianism is based on the political winds of the age. What the media tells us we can get away with, what the pollsters say is okay. Meanwhile, a bunch of politicians that we have helped elect over the last 40 years, as we speak, are scheming and plotting on Capitol Hill about how they're going to cave, betray everyone in this room, and fund Planned Parenthood some more. You want to end abortion once and for all, and you cannot even get the politicians that you put into office to stop giving them your money? Good luck with that. Used to be you could reach a politician with a basic argument. Hey, can you not give our money to political opponents? Because Planned Parenthood is the biggest sugar daddy the Democrat Party has, and has been for decades. They're the biggest financial shill for Democrat candidates. And yet you can't even get the Republicans to stop funding their own political opponents. At that point, we as a movement need to take a time out and take a step back and assess, how did we get here? And then more importantly, how do we win? Because if I asked you to raise your hands in this room, are we winning the pro-life argument? Many of you would say yes. Well, it depends on what pro-life argument. For example, last year the Media Research Center visited a college campus, asking students on the campus of an institution of higher learning if they would be willing to sign their petition for, get this, 4th trimester abortions. Now follow me here. 4th trimester abortions, man, you cannot slip anything past these folks, right? You got to get up pretty early to slip one past today's college student. Watch this video.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Joseph. Recently there's been a lot of talk about abortion laws in this country with new laws being passed in Texas. It's got a lot of the pro-choice people up in arms. I came out to a college campus and I'm going to find out if people are willing to sign my petition to legalize 4th trimester abortion. Now if you don't know what 4th trimester is, that's after the baby is already born. Yeah. Currently 4th trimester abortions are legal in all 50 states. We want to make them legal so women have the choice. We feel that it's a woman's body. Take it all. We're just trying to get people to sign a petition to legalize 4th trimester abortion. Currently 4th trimester abortion is illegal in all 50 states.
Does it harm to the child?
What?
Does it cause harm to
the child, I mean, wouldn't be there anymore. It's abortion. I mean, you know, the child's gone. I think a lot of conservatives just want to see women in the kitchen, not doing other things. And I'm personally, my girlfriend can't cook, so you know, that would suck for me.
Isn't the reason why they don't do it is because it's technically like it will hurt the child, or like?
Well, I don't know, frankly, the physical. I mean, but you know, I don't think a woman should be punished with an unwanted child. Sign a petition to legalize 4th trimester abortion. It's currently illegal in all 50 states, and we believe that a woman shouldn't suffer because of an unwanted post-pregnancy. I don't think it's right to tell women what to do. If you could email there too.
Cool.
Cool. You need some help? You want me to hold your cigarette for you?
I got it all.
Are you sure?
Hold on, yes.
You're only 15? Yeah, what the hell, you know? I'm not supposed to, but you would really be helping us out. You see, 4th trimester abortion is illegal, and you know, you're old enough to get pregnant, right? Probably.
Nah, I think you should decide in the 1st trimester. You know, it's like, because I don't consider that to be a person. You know what I mean?
Why do you hate women, man? We believe it's a child and a choice. Can you help us out today? All right, thank you so much.
I do Planned Parenthood, I do everything.
Oh, you do? Well, we love Planned Parenthood.
4th trimester, that's what,
40 weeks.
40 weeks?
So yeah, you can help us out today? We believe it's a woman's right to choose, and men in Washington saying you do not get to make the rules about what a woman can do with her body and with her baby.
Okay.
Down with that?
I'm down.
All right, cool.
What exactly is illegal?
4th trimester abortions, illegal everywhere.
Okay, what exactly is that?
That would be after the 3rd trimester, after the 9th month of pregnancy.
After the 9th month?
After the 9th month.
Yeah, sorry. I
No?
don't think I'm up for that.
All right.
Yeah, I just had a baby 3 months ago.
Oh, you did? Congratulations. That's great. Well, he would be very, very proud of you, I think, signing this.
Right. 4th trimester would be when the baby's already born.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, technically that's true. But what if the baby's like, you know, I don't know, annoying or cries a lot?
I'm not signing that, man.
Support a woman's right to choose. What? Oh. Could I have some of your drink? All right. I say it's not even a life until it, you know, can pay taxes.
Right.
Excuse me, sir. Will you sign this petition? I'm not even going to tell you what's on it. Just sign it. It's cool. Don't worry. Don't even read it. It's fine. Just sign it.
We have this Bible discussion up in the second floor of the
Oh,
JC.
really?
It's going to be at 2:30 today. But we have them like 3 days a week. Is it something you're interested in?
You know, I don't really know much about the Bible. You know, I'm not very religious.
Gotcha.
But you know, do you think they'd sign my petition?
I want to say that generally no.
You like women?
I like men, but
Oh.
I'm for women's rights.
Well, that's good.
I teach at this 3-week program called EIP.
Oh, you're a teacher. Is that a menthol?
Mm-hmm. You can tell.
Yeah, I can tell. Say hi to everybody at Planned Parenthood for me the next time you see them. They probably tell them Carlos said hi.
Carlos.
Carlos Danger. All right.
Carlos Danger?
Carlos Danger.
Really?
What's your name?
That's not even made up.
No.
Catherine.
Great. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you. So it's an abortion thing, you know. No big deal.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Good luck.
Good luck to you. So I was out here for almost exactly an hour. I ended up getting about 14 signatures. That's a lot for summer when there are not as many people on campus. There were a few people caught on to what I was trying to do. But if you are a pro-choice activist, you have to be pretty happy about this many people supporting this cause.
Keep in mind that people that he is seeking those signatures from are at the age where you'd be having children, or at least thinking about it. Now you'll notice one person pushes back on him by asking a question. Well, isn't that like when it's a person? See, the reason we haven't won the argument, folks, is because we're having the wrong one. That's what we believe here at Personhood Iowa. We believe we're having the wrong argument. Now, you can have the wrong argument with a lot of courage of conviction and a lot of dedication and a lot of devotion. And your courage of conviction and your dedication and your devotion may win you some battles, but you will not win the argument if you are having the wrong one. Because here is the right argument, and the only reason why we are pro-life is we believe that is a person. I doubt there is anybody in this room who would stand up and say, government should have the power to tell you what you are doing with your own body. Unless what you're doing is immoral, unethical. Well, where would we get the standard to find out what that is? Or, in this case, unless that is not your body, but it is somebody else. So then how come we don't have that argument? Now, what I'm suggesting here tonight, and what we here at Personhood Iowa are advocating, is not new. This is not something that a bunch of radicals who are dreaded purists, and this is what Christian political activism has come to. The Bible tells us repeatedly to strive for purity, and yet Christians throw purist around at other Christians like a pejorative, like a put down. And we wonder why we are losing a culture. We undermine the very people in our movement who are trying to advance the standard we walk out of the pews on Sunday claiming to uphold. We enter the mission field with the wrong mission. But to show you we are not just making this up, we didn't just come up with a new way of doing things. We're going to take you back to the Roe v. Wade hearing itself. And I want you to listen to the words of the attorneys and the Supreme Court justices. Listen to what is the premise of the argument. And you'll see where we have come up with this strategy.
Number 7018, Roe against Wade.
You would agree, I suppose, that one of the important factors that has to be considered in this case is what rights, if any, does the unborn fetus have?
That's correct.
Yes. And the basic constitutional question initially is whether or not an unborn fetus is a person, yes, isn't it? It's critical to this case.
Yes, sir, it is.
If it were established that an unborn fetus is a person within the protection of the 14th Amendment, you would have almost an impossible case here.
I would have a very difficult case.
Certainly would.
Could Texas constitutionally, in your view, declare that by statute that a fetus is a person for all constitutional purposes?
The state could obviously adopt that kind of statute, and then the question would have to be adjudicated.
If it were established that an unborn fetus is a person within the protection of the 14th Amendment, you would have almost an impossible case. It's an impossible case. It's an impossible case. It's an impossible case.
We did not make this up. Our enemies handed us this strategy over 40 years ago. Over 40 years ago. Over 40 years ago, they told us the argument they did not want to have. Did you hear her nervous laughter? I'd have a pretty much impossible case. I mean, who could go out there publicly advocating for killing people? Well, you can't. Then how come that's not the argument that we have made? How come? How come when we go in front of the cameras and we talk to the media, we use their terminology? Pro-choice. Notice they don't call us pro-life. They call us anti-abortion. But we use their terminology. Why do we do that? We don't know the answer to that question. And the reality is the answer to that question is irrelevant. Because while we debate it, the killing continues. So our focus here at Personhood Iowa is on pursuing a strategy of winning, where we shut down these abortuaries once and for all. And we do not believe the culture will do this until they come to grips with the fact that we're killing people. As the 5th and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says, no person. You heard in that video references to the 14th Amendment. It is language that mirrors the 5th Amendment in the Bill of Rights. No person shall be denied life, liberty, or process without due process of law. Is that child given due process at the Planned Parenthood clinic before it is dismembered and has its parts sold for profit? No. That is a criminal enterprise that shouldn't be just defunded, but prosecuted. And everybody there thrown in prison. But it won't happen until we stand up and say, stop killing people. When is a person a person? You remember the 2008 election. I don't necessarily look at Rick Warren as a theological giant. But he did ask the most insightful question of that entire election cycle when he asked now President Barack Obama, when is a baby in the womb entitled to human rights? In other words, when does life begin? And remember the president's answer? That's above my pay grade. This is the debate the other side doesn't want to have, for it forces the debate to come to a head. Would you like to win? Or do we want to sit here and regulate this for another 42 years? Do we want to say, hey, they gave us a pro-life license plate. That's our big win for this legislative session. Is that good enough? Earlier this year, our son Noah had to be rushed to the hospital. He was dehydrated with a bad flu bug. And I took his sisters down to see him the next day, Mercy Hospital here in Des Moines. And as we drove away, they saw a sign across the street, my 14-year-old and my 10-year-old. They saw a sign across the street. Do you know what it said? Planned Parenthood. Right across the street from a hospital where people are saved and people are healed and made whole, where life enters the world. And across the street is a place where it's extinguished. And my daughters asked me, Daddy, what is that? I had one of those moments as a parent where you think it's been like 10 minutes because of all the thoughts that go through your head about what you're going to say next, but it was really like 2 seconds. Ever had one of those? So one of the mottos that my wife and I have is when they're old enough to start asking the right questions, that means they're old enough to get the right answers. So they asked me, Daddy, what goes on? What is that? What goes on over there? So I pulled the car aside. We parked in a spot, and I told them. They kill babies there. And it was very quiet in the car. And my daughters looked at each other incredulous. And you know what they said? Why would we allow that? That's what they said. Why would we allow that, Daddy? Why would we allow that? Why would we allow that? Make no mistake, we have allowed it. I would like us to be the generation that wins. We would like us to be the generation that wins. We believe at Personhood Iowa, the only way to win is to have the argument the other side doesn't want to have. Because really, ladies and gentlemen, it is the only argument we have. We have no argument here unless that is a person. Everything we say and do as a movement, every piece of legislation, incremental or otherwise, we should be using the terminology of persons. This year, the Iowa legislature made them do that, and we should thank them for that. They made the Democrats stand up there and say, we're going to vote against something that protects persons. Begin to lay the groundwork. When does life begin? Every argument we have should go back to, what is a life? When does it begin? But that has to begin with us in the church, because science is on our side. But you know what? Science has been on our side since Bernard Nathanson left NARAL and went to National Right to Life before I even knew what the life issue was. Science has been on our side for decades. Hasn't moved the needle. Data is on our side. Everything's on our side. Why? Because in a postmodern age of moral relativism, you will run into people who will say this to you. Well, I know this is wrong, but who am I to tell somebody else what's right for them? Have you heard these arguments before? You will only, and this is true, this is an anthropological fact of history, Jack. There has never been a culture in human history that didn't have child sacrifice. Ever. Ever. Outside of the Judeo-Christian moral tradition, there has never been one. From the time the Hebrew midwives disobeyed Pharaoh and did not practice partial birth or late-term abortion, to the Didache in the first century, where the apostles told the first followers of Christ, do not kill your own children via abortion. Outside of the Judeo-Christian moral tradition, we have sacrificed our babies on some altar, whether it be Chemosh or Molech or our own personal convenience called Roe v. Wade. And that will be true in our day and age as well, unless we as a church, once and for all, stand up and say, stop it. And that's why tonight we are calling the church back to life. Several of you are ministry leaders, leaders in your church. We want you to take this message back to your congregations. Because until people truly understand, they may think they know when life even begins. But until they truly understand where life comes from and where their own life comes from and who they will give an account to one day for their life in eternity, they will not value another life higher than their own. That is simply the human condition. So if you would like to win and be the generation that celebrates this, would you like to know who's responsible? Look at the person on your left, and then look at the person on your right. If you believe in the sovereignty of God, and I will tell you, folks, it's the only thing that helps me sleep well at night, the belief in the sovereignty of God. Well, then if you believe in a sovereign God, you have to come to the conclusion, when you live in a free society like ours, that you have as much evil as you are willing to tolerate. This will not end 1 second before or 1 second later until we as a church rise up with one voice and say, stop. And that's why tonight you're here. That's why we need to call the church back to life, because we are the ones who bring the culture, the author of life. And how will they hear the word if there is no one to preach it to them? Thank you very much.